Very good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of Robert's philosophy, and we're discussing the chapter 23, Disease Classification Psora Continued. And in this chapter, H.A.Robert has tried to explain the psoric manifestations according to the anatomical schema, the way it has been explained in the repertories, the same chapter wise, starting from the vertigo. He has explained every particular system and their psoric manifestation. The common theme which we got or we learned from that is that psora manifests itself functionally. There is sensitivity is always increased. The patient feels all complaints which are related with the emotional aspects. The pain is main factor. Better by lying down, better by rest, better by warm application. Those are common modalities which we have learned related with each and every organ. So he has compared it psora in relation with pseudosyphilitic miasm at many times. Whenever psora alone is there, there is only functional manifestation, no pathology or no cellular or tissue change is there. But in case whenever the miasm gets mixed, the syphilis gets added, or psychosis get added, then definitely you are going to get a pathology over there. The last part which we have discussed was related with the heart, and he has explained one important thing related with the heart complaint. Psora has or Psora manifests many functional manifestations. They comes to you again and again for their anxiety or fear related with the heart disorder, but actually the structural changes are not there, and his Psora lives along in his life without having any problem. And he has compared it with psychotic encephalitic. Those are the people who doesn't have such warning signs, and all of a sudden they die because of structural changes which are there in their heart. So this is a big difference between the venereal miasm and non-venereal miasm. So venereal miasms, both of them produces structural changes and affect the heart, whereas in case of psora, the structural manifestations are not there, functional manifestations are there, and pain is most important factor, which is related with the anxiety and the fear. That's what we have discussed. Let us start with the page number 192, the second paragraph. Psora alone produces more marked anasarca and dropsical conditions than psychosis. The psychotic patient succumbs before the dropsical condition becomes marked. But the union of these two stigmata produces these conditions in a marked degree. So in Sora, whenever the anasarca is there or dropsy is there, it is generally not related with the renal pathology or cardiac pathology. It is generally related with the protein energy malnutrition. It is functional. It is deficiency disorder. But if it is structural, it is definitely related with the psychosis in relation with Sora. So either a renal problem or either a heart problem, cardiac problem producing dropsy, it definitely indicates that it is mixed miasmatic trait. Sora alone never produces that. The abdomen feels full after eating. There is much distension, aggravated in the morning. The muscles are flabby, and all abdominal pains are ameliorated by heat, a general modality. So pain is important factor. More than pain, there is a flatulence. That is another important aspect which you're going to get over there without any abdominal pathology. The diarrheas are very important. The diarrheas of Psora are often indicated or induced by the overeating. The patient is always hungry and eats beyond his capacity because he is avarice, he is greedy, and that's why he eats beyond his capacity and upsets his digestive powers. This overeating often produces a colic or watery diarrhea, usually in the morning. These diarrheas fit the symptomatology of such remedies as aloes, podophyllum, sulfur, amongst them. So this is morning diarrhea, generally not related with the pathologies related with the overeating or some exciting causes. They are the diarrheas of Psora, and you are going to get remedies related with that like aloes, podophyllum, sulfur, etc. In the tubercular diathesis, there is also a morning diarrhea, morning aggravation of diarrhea, and the tubercular condition shows its psoric parentage from by the aggravation from the cold. Psora has spasmodic, offensive, painless diarrhea, usually which usually ameliorated the sufferings. but it is not a persistent diarrhea. It comes on from the emissions or from the emotions. There is a word which has been wrongly written over there. It comes on from emotions and from preparation of unusual for an unusual event, after taking cold, aggravation by cold, emulsion by hot drinks or heat in general. So emotional factor plays very vital role over there, like gelsemium, like argentum nitricum. Whenever they have to go to church or opera or appearing for the exams, at that time diarrhea sets in. This is very typically related with either nervous phase or either related with the emotions. Aggravation from cold and emulsion from hot is the characteristic of the psoric miasm. Everywhere you are going to get this modality. There is stubborn, marked, persistent constipation. So another feature, another manifestation of GI system is persistent constipation with small, hard, difficult stools and no desire for stool. Or there may be alternation of the constipation and diarrhea. With the constipation, there are frequently accompanying troubles in other parts of the organism or seemingly unrelated symptoms which are actually concomitant. So you will going to get alternate diarrhea or constipation or a constipation like Naxomica, common remedies over there. And such a thing without having any pathology over there is the psoric constipation. Psora is not only the mother of all diseases, but it is the psoric element which gives the valuable concomitant symptoms and furnishes the modalities and sensations which are true expressions of their sufferings. The psoric patient suffers considerably, probably much more than in other stigmata and with less apparent cause. So what he is saying that psoric patients suffer considerably, probably much more than other stigmata and with less apparent cause. So psora, you have many manifestations, many types of pains. But actually, if you'll check them, if you'll go and investigate them, you'll never find any specific apparent cause or visible cause in the form of pathology. In children afflicted with this underlying condition, we find retention of urine whenever the body gets chilled, and this condition arises in old people also. An opposite indication of the psoric stigmata is the involuntary urinations when sneezing, coughing, and laughing. There is a smarting and burning on urination, but not from pathological causes. So either there is a retention of urine or either there is a involuntary passage of urine. Specifically, if it is related with children, you're going to get it in psoric conditions. So SINA is the commonest entity where you can get such types of feature very commonly. It is worm irritation which causes involuntary urination, specifically bedwetting during sleep. The SINA is one of the important remedy. No pathological causes. This is what he has mentioned again and again, and that is the general condition one must know. Many symptoms of this stigma are reflected in the sexual sphere, especially in women. In other words, these are functional disturbances closely related to the emotions and the dysmenorrhea, amenorrhea, and many other conditions results. Hahnemann tells us that grief or sorrow, such as that caused by an unhappy marriage, will produce more serious and distressing symptoms in the psoric patient than most unfavorable surroundings and real hardships. It can be seen that there would be a marked reaction on the functions which are so closely related to the nervous system. So, many times emotions and sexual symptoms or female genital symptoms, they are closely related. Emotions and endocrine glands, they are closely related, and because of emotional setback there is always an endocrinal disorder which develops over there, and those reflects in the form of amenorrhea, many times very severe dysmenorrhea, or many times uh, menorrhagia, such types of features which comes over there. Psoric skin is dry, rough, dirty, or unhealthy appearing. In fact, the classic psoric remedy is sulfur, although it is not to be thought that sulfur will cure all cases, nor is it limited in the range of applicability to the psoric conditions. But if there is any one remedy which we may limit by saying that it is a picture of the stigma, we may truly say that Psora and sulfur are so like each other in many instances that each typifies the other. So this is very clear. If you want to understand Psora and keep it in your mind, then sulfur, if you understand sulfur, you'll get maximum symptomatology of the Psora. It is closely associated, and that's why Hahnemann said it is king of antisoric remedy. The manifestations are very close, that of psora miasm and sulfur. In appearance, the psoric patients are great unwashed. Bathing is unwelcome and aggravation by roughness of the skin and the irritability. So, aversion to bathing. Second important thing, untidy appearance is very typical of this psoric personality. They were never like to be bathed, they never like to be washed. That is another thing, and their skin is very, very rough. In all psoric conditions, itching is a persistent symptom. There is very little suppuration. There may be few vesicles and papular manifestation. Psoric eruptions are not noticeable by their color, but by the roughness of the skin. Unless there is marked inflammation, they are the same color of the skin. With the dry skin, there is decided tendency to the fine thin scales. The eruptions dry down and scale off. So, persistent dryness with scaling is another manifestation with the psoric disorder. You can easily catch it that there is no change, alteration in the skin color, but what is more marked is related with the dryness of the skin, and scaling is very easy scaling which you can get over there in psora. Erysipelatous inflammations or erysipelatous manifestations are a combination of psora and psychosis. If there is any syphilitic taint in combination with the psoric base, the patient are very apt to be susceptible to impetigo. Impetigo, they are nothing but the boils, staphylococcal infection. For this is the soil in which impetigo flourishes. Without these united taints, a patient will not become infected with impetigo. So what he says is very correct, that impetigo is a manifestation of mixed miasmatic trait, psorosyphilitic more commonly than purely psora. So generally, you will get dry skin in case of pure psora. And last, he goes to the generalities. And generalities, what he says, the psoric patient has symptoms of coldness associated with even slight elements. With headaches, there is deadly coldness, and that is almost worse than the headache itself. And this is much aggravated by continued effort and ameliorated by lying down, where it is warm and quiet. So, in general, patients are quite commonly the chilly. They feel better by warmth. They were better by lying down. Modern medicine tells us that migraine has as its underlying cause emotional disturbances. In other words, this is a verification of Hahnemann's teaching on the disturbances aroused in the psoric patients by grief, sorrow, and other harrowing emotions. So, in anything which is because of emotional setbacks is generally a psoric, where there is no pathology which is developed over there. It kills the psoric patient to stand still. He must walk instead of standing, even if he is on his feet, but brief time. So that is what we learn in while learning the materia medica. Standing is the worst position for the sulfur patient. Same is true. Standing is worst position for the psoric patient. Aggravation by standing is another keynote of this miasm. He may stand if he can lean against some anything sufficiently to take the weight of his feet. This is not because of structural changes, it is because of his natural desire to rest with his characteristic restlessness. So these are people who take the supports of the wall if they want to stand. Weakness of the ankle joints is a sure indication of the presence of syphilitic taint in the combination with psoric stigma. So psora and syphilis, when united together, there are weak ankles. Which is the remedy for weak ankles? Recurrent ankle sprain.
Ladampan,
Which?
Ladampan,
Hmm?
Ladampan.
No. It is natrum carb, correct. Very correct is natrum carb. It is natrum carb only. Weak ankles, we easily get sprained. That is. So here complete Psora. The Psora manifestations he has mentioned over there, and this is second consecutive part related with Psora he has mentioned. Next, we're going to start on Monday, and that is a big chapter, and that chapter is very, very important, where you will learn the talent of the H.A.Robert, how he has compared Psora or deficiency. Because it is really his own intelligence he has shown over there to compare the periodic table in relation with the soric miasm, the remedies over there, their atomic weight, and his own postulate. So that aspect everyone must learn, everyone must study. We'll learn that on Monday, and we'll directly meet on Monday, not today evening. So that's all for today. We'll meet on Monday with this Sora or deficiency chapter, and that is that I will suggest everyone to attend that and learn the Roberts aspect of this Sora or deficiency. So thank you and good
Sir,
evening. Yes,
sir, can I ask one question?
yeah, sure.
Sir, after can laparoscopy cause constipation after laparoscopy in a patient?
If there is any injury or if there is any adhesion which develops because of injury, otherwise
Acha.
not.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.